Jesse, can you guys see the presentation okay?
Yep. Yes, we're good. Yep.
All right. Yeah, I think we got a pretty good list here, Jesse. If we want to get started. Not sure if everybody's on from district that you were expecting.
Yes. Yep. I think we're good here.
That's your passwords right there. Some of this.
So yeah, we might as well get started, Garrett. I guess Mitch, Mark Dunn, anybody else you expecting?
I'm trying to figure out who's all on here. Here we go.
All right, so on the right-hand side of your screen, Mitch, you'll see a list of folks that are on. If you click on the people button at the top.
Gotta get my screen a little bigger here. There we go.
I'm sharing it here as well.
Okay. Yep, I'd say we got a pretty good representation here. Yeah. I'd say we're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we can fit a lot more people into this meeting than we can in the materials conference room.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'll just do a brief kickoff and then Garrett will take over the presentation. So Basically, this is the Sabula Causeway project. Several years ago, the Illinois and Iowa partnered to replace the main bridge over the river. And then Iowa replaced the bridge over
Overflow bridge.
the overflow bridge. So this is kind of the last remaining piece, if you will, of that connection north of Sabula across the river. So this is about a 2 mile long project, and we're replacing the causeway, shoring it up, widening it, armoring it. And we're planning to go to letting here in a couple of months with construction to start next year. And with that, well, Garrett, should we do intros here?
Yeah, I've got a slide coming up here, Jesse, and we'll do some intros. So
Okay, perfect. Yep, go ahead and take it away.
all right, sounds good. Well, thanks, Jesse, and thanks everybody for joining us today. Up on the screen is an agenda, and we'll, like Jesse just mentioned, we'll do some brief introductions just so we have kind of an idea of everybody who's on the call today. We're going to give a project overview, introduce the project, go over some details that we hope will, spark some discussion later on in the meeting. And then our consultant partners who are Parsons, they're on the call today. They're going to be giving an overview of our current staging plans. And then topic number 4 there, that's where we're just going to open it up for some discussion. We have some specific questions that we would like input on from industry. And, we're hoping that the feedback that we gain today can be used as part of our final design to really improve the constructability and efficiency of the project. And then we'll try to wrap things up here in about 2 hours or less. And I know everybody's busy, so we'll try to get everybody out of here as quickly as possible. So thanks for joining us today. I would like to point out that all the information that we are sharing is preliminary. It's kind of a snapshot in time of where our design is right now. So just keep that in mind when these plans hit the street for bidding purposes. There's a good chance there will be some tweaks to what we see today. We are also recording the meeting just so that we kind of have a record of what was discussed, and then the notes will be shared online after the meeting concludes. So with that, we'll start with some introductions. There is a chat bar in the bottom right of your screen. So if you wouldn't mind entering your information in there, I know we've got a few conference rooms in there. So if you just want to enter the company and some contact info, that would be fine. We'll also do some brief verbal introductions as well. So we'll just, if you could unmute your mic and give us your name and whatever company or organization you're with, that way everybody gets a sense of who's on the call today. So we'll probably start with the industry partners that are on. And in that vein, Mitch, would you want to introduce yourself?
Mitch Delavue, Technical Director, AGC of Iowa.
Okay. And I'm going to do my best to go down the list here. Let's see. Alphabetically, I'm not sure who would be next. Bo?
Bo Hullab, Peterson Contractors.
Okay. Let's see. I missed Andy. Andy, would you want to introduce yourself?
Andy Wolf, Boomerang Corp.
Okay. Let's see. Looks like Cedar Valley Corp is on.
Dean Herbst with Cedar Valley Corp.
Okay. And if I'm skipping over anybody, I apologize. Chris?
Chris Song with Manats.
Okay. Ed?
Ed Orger with Macinich Corporation.
Okay. Jason?
Jason Baker, Iowa Plains Signing.
Okay. Jesse?
Jesse Spain, Peterson Contractors, Inc.
Okay. Joel? Joel Robinson, looks like from Taylor Construction. Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan Muller, Peterson Contractors. I've got Cork Peterson here with me.
All right, sounds great. see, Krista. Okay. Krista Thier from Taylor Construction. I hope I pronounced that last name correctly.
Yep.
Let's see.
Looks like she's muted.
All right. Ryan.
Ryan Cheeseman, United Contractors.
Okay. Ryan Kipp.
Brian Kipp with Moinas.
Okay. Terry.
Terry Nichols with Wendling Quarries.
Okay. Terry, looks like you got a big crew in there with you.
Yeah.
All right.
You want us to introduce them all?
If you guys are willing, go ahead. If not, we can certainly move on. I'll leave it up to you.
Let's move on. We're good.
All right. Tom.
Tom Bostyle, Plain Signing.
Let's see. And I think, at least in terms of my list, that looks like everybody from industry. Did I miss anybody? All right. Well, my name is Garrett Reeder. I'm with the Iowa DOT. I'm in the Project Management Bureau, and I'll be helping to facilitate this meeting along with the district staff. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jesse at district.
There we go. Yes, Jesse Thibodeau, Assistant District Engineer in District 6, East Central Iowa.
Hector, District Planner.
Seth Shermo, D6 Staff Engineer.
Jim Schnubblin, District Engineer.
George Morrill.
Utility.
Utility Coordinator. I'm sorry. Yep.
Danielle Alvarez, District 6 Construction Engineer.
All right. And I think we have some other district folks on the line today as well.
Yep, Ahmad Afifa, Davenport Field Office Area Engineer.
Adrian Simonson, Davenport RC.
DJ Carlson, Davenport RC.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it from district. How about our contract staff? Maybe Mark, we'll start with you.
Mark Dunn, Contracts and Specifications Bureau.
Okay. And Stacy?
Yeah, my name is Stacy Ryan, and I'm the Assistant Contracts Engineer.
Yeah. Do you guys have anybody else on from contracts today?
I don't think so.
All right. How about construction and materials staff? I think we have a few of you on the call today.
Dan Zyman, Pavement Design.
Brian Worrell works on operations.
Okay. How about our LEB folks?
Mark Sloppy, Water Resources.
Rod Stricker, Protected Species.
Okay. Let's see, other DOT staff. Who am I missing?
Emily Whaley, Local Systems Bureau, Iowa Byways Program Manager.
Okay. All right. Do we have anyone on the call from FHWA today? I think Andrew Zimmerman was included on the invite, but I'm not sure if he's here. Not have been able to join us. Okay. And I guess certainly last but not least, how about our consultant partners from Parsons?
Mark Peterson, Parsons Project Manager. Tyler?
Yep. Hi, everyone. Tyler Kiefer, Parsons, the project engineer for the project.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you, everybody. So we're going to start out with the project overview here. As part of the meeting notification that went out, this project is located on US 52 in Jackson County on the east side of the state. It's in the backwaters of the Mississippi River, so there's water that's on really both sides of the roadway. You can see here in the aerial image that we have pulled up, you can see the Mississippi River on kind of the right side of the screen, and then Cibola would be towards the bottom of the screen there. Jesse mentioned the overflow bridge just north of Cibola, so we will be tying in to that bridge approach pavement at the very south end of our project. And that'll kind of be the beginning point of our project. And then the ending point will be just before the curve, before you get to the US 52 Mississippi River Bridge. So as you can see here, there really aren't any side roads, intersections, or residences that we have to deal with on this project. So in terms of the plan view, it does look pretty straightforward, but when you're dealing with water on both sides of the roadway, excuse me, it just adds some complexity to the design and the construction of it. So with that, this project is included in our current program, and the current programmed estimate is about $30.7 million. Project length is about 9,500 feet long, and we have, like I said, water on both sides of the roadway, and that water depth really varies throughout the project limits. We did do a bathymetric survey early in the design phase to try to figure out what the water depths were, and those water depths varied from a few feet to several feet deep in spots, and it's just not very consistent whether you're on the east or the west side of the roadway there, or running north and south along the roadway as well. A lot of variability in the water depth. So just want to point that out as we're kind of talking through the constructability of things. That's something to keep in mind. On the lower left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see the existing US 52 typical section. 12-foot wide lanes, and then if you've ever driven this roadway, there's not a lot of usable shoulder. There's virtually no shoulder out there today. For the typical section that's on the screen, we're showing 3 foot from the edge of the lane to behind that guardrail. So, not much shoulder that exists out there today. And then we have 2-to-1 force slopes that go down into the water. On the right side of the screen is just an image that was taken from Google Street View. That's pretty typical of what the project looks like if you were driving down the roadway today. So with this project, Jesse had mentioned it earlier, but what we're planning to do is widen out the causeway. So if you think back to that existing typical section, there wasn't much shoulder out there. We're going to be widening things out to accommodate full 8-foot shoulders. Going to be replacing that pavement that's out there with full depth 10-inch PCC with full depth shoulders as well. To accommodate that widened embankment, we're going to use a lot of Class B revetment as kind of the foundation for that, and that'll help armor the force slopes as well for any wave action or erosion that we'll see based on the water levels. This typical section was included as part of the meeting invite, so if you'd like to open it up on your screen, feel free to do so. I'm not going to run through every call out on this typical, but just going to give a few of the highlights here to help, again, just spark some discussion for later on in the meeting. So we do have, like I said, 10-inch PCC pavement with full depth shoulders on this project. We're proposing 12-inch modified subbase underneath that pavement, with geogrid underneath that subbase, and then we're also proposing 12 inches of cement stabilized subgrade beneath the subbase. So we're trying to beef up the typical section a little bit to provide the solid foundation for that pavement. It's our understanding that this existing causeway was built using drag lines, and they kind of scooped up the river muck and placed it on the causeway, and that's what the roadbed sits on today. So with that, we've done quite a bit of soil analysis, and right now our settlement analysis is showing about a 2-month paving delay for the widened portions of the causeway. That's not for the existing embankment, that's just for the widened portions. And that 2-month paving delay would account for about a 4.5 to 5 inches worth of settlement for those shoulders on the outside edge. So again, that's something that we'll probably get into a little bit more as we start talking about the staging here in a few slides. So as with any project, we do have utilities on this one as well. On the right side of your screen, you're going to see a street view image of the project, and you'll see some utility poles that run along the east side there. And because we're widening the causeway out on both sides, those utility poles are obviously going to be in conflict with the widening. So those utility poles carry 2 fiber optic cables, and what we're proposing to do is to construct a conduit trench along the west side of the causeway underneath the paved shoulder. You can see that detail there on the left side of the screen. We're going to try to fit that in between the subdrain and the face of the guardrail. And again, this conduit trench detail was included as part of the meeting notification, so feel free to open it up on your own screen if you want to kind of look at a few more of the call outs and things. But our thought was here that, you know, we would get that conduit trench constructed first, allow the utilities to pull the fiber, and then the contractor would be able to work on widening the east side of the embankment by getting those poles removed. So that's how we're currently proposing to address the utilities on the project. And because of the length and, you know, the widening that needs to take place, we're looking at some pretty substantial quantities on the project. And some of these quantities have already been posted online. So some of these items might not be a surprise to a lot of you, but some of the notable items we thought would be useful to share today that might help frame some of the questions that we're going to ask is we're looking at about 124,500 yards of waste on the project. 92,500 yards of contractor furnished embankment in place, 331,000 tons of Class B revetment. And again, that's really the foundation for the widening of the causeway that we're going to be constructing. And then 44,000 tons of erosion stone. Our pavement quantity is currently estimated at 42,500 yards, and that includes the full depth paved shoulders as well. And based on our current staging layout that we'll be sharing with you shortly, the temporary pavement quantity is about 8,500 square yards to accommodate traffic during construction. So please keep in mind these are preliminary quantities, but we feel like they're pretty representative of the quantities that we are going to be going to bid with. So the schedule for this project, like Jesse mentioned earlier, we're proposing a December 2025 letting, which is coming right up. So our design team is in the midst of final design. So any of the feedback and discussion that we can get today, we're going to try to incorporate as much as we can into those final plans to help make improvements to the design and constructability of the project. We've spent quite a bit of time as a design team and DOT team talking about, you know, how this project is going to be staged. And so right now our current proposed construction durations are looking like 120 working days for grading and 60 working days for paving. So that is the current schedule for the project. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Tyler at Parsons, and he's going to walk us through a staging overview for the plans. So Tyler, you want to take the screen?
Sure, let me grab it real quick here.
Okay.
Let me know if you got me here.
Yep, we can see it.
All righty, everyone. So as Garrett mentioned here, we're going to go over the staging of this project. So we have 2 lanes, 2-lane roadway, 1 lane each direction. The main goal of this staging is to keep 1 lane open at all times for traffic to get around. The whole project's 9,500 feet long. So with that, we are looking to substage this into 2,500 foot sections, work zone sections. That way we can kind of go in 4 sections on each side as you go down the causeway with temporary traffic signals to allow traffic to go around the work zone and keep the contractor working throughout the project here. So as we go through this, Mark or Garrett, if you have any comments, please jump in as needed. But we broke it up into 2 phases. Phase 1 is going to be all the earthwork and embankment, so basically getting all of the widening done. And then phase 2 is going to be all of the pavement work on the back end. The reasoning behind this was, as Garrett mentioned previously, there's that settlement that we're working with, and to avoid any settlement issues, we decided to get all the embankment on the outside widening done first. That way we can come back and have everything settled and be able to pave an open lanes on both sides with the shoulders and a lane done at each time, so we're not blocking ourselves in. So with that, it's a little overview. Go through some of these typicals of what each of these phases looks like. So that's the existing, what we're working with today, as Garrett mentioned. So in this first phase, with the utilities on the east side, we want to get the west side built out first, so those poles can stay out there as long as they can, so we can switch over once we complete the widening. So in this phase, we are going to, in this first 2,500 foot segment, this is what the typical section would look like. We'll put traffic on that right lane there and have the temporary traffic signals work around the work zone. And through this phase, we are going to build all the embankment on the outside. So all that revetment, the widened shoulders, and get that all set up for the paving in phase 2. So with that, you can also see there, we have the option to install the fiber optic conduits on the outside of the temporary guardrail. That way we don't have to construct the conduit trench and avoid any settlement issues that would come with that by putting that in too early. So with that, we will get the conduits on the outside there above grade, and that would allow the utilities to switch over the fiber optics onto the west side before we switch to the east side. So with that, we'll go to the next phase here. We are, as you work your way down the causeway, so once the whole west side is done, we'll flip over to the east side, and similarly, we'll do the east side embankment, build all that out, and put all the traffic on the west side. And with that, the fiber optic conduit and the wire will be pulled onto that side, so the fiber optic service is not will not be disturbed, and traffic will be running on that side through those short work zones. And then, depending on how the schedule works, we have a winter shutdown in here to allow for that 2-month settlement. That way, there'll be some settlement plates within the embankment. That way we can track to make sure that we hit the necessary settlement in the embankment on either side before we pave. And then phase 2 will be all the paving work. And this is where the temporary pavement comes in. So in this first half of the phase, we'll flip traffic back onto the east side, and we're going to pave the west side, both the shoulder and that lane, all in one stage here, as well as include the proposed guardrail and conduit trench. And with that, after that phase, we will switch it back over to the proposed, and this, as the same, we'll be able to pave the lane and the shoulder on the east side roadway. So this is just a typical kind of section through the work zone. As I mentioned previously, our work zones are going to be limited to 2,500 feet with temporary traffic signals to allow traffic to continue through the causeway without any disruption. With that, Garrett, Mark, if anyone wanted to jump in or if anyone had any questions through that, I'll toss it back to you, Garrett.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler. Okay, so we wanted to keep the presentation brief so that we could allow kind of maximum amount of time for discussion. So this is where we're going to seek input from our contracting partners in the industry. So we have 7 questions we would like to ask, and we're really looking for any feedback, comments, concerns that you have based on the information that we've shared today. We do have plan sheets available as well if we want to take a look at a few things. And we've got our district construction team on the call. We have our consultant partners, the roadway designers. We have a lot of resources here that can help maybe answer some questions as we're talking through things. But we're really looking for a lot of feedback and open discussion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the question, and then we'll pause for discussion. And then once the discussion is kind of ended for that particular question, we'll move on to number 2, so on and so forth until we've finished up all 7 questions that we have. So with that, we are going to hear the questions, and they're all visible on the screen for you here. But we're going to start with number 1. And based on the information you've seen here today so far, what concerns do you have about contractor access for the project?
Well, this is Andy, a boomerang, and the thing that jumps out at me is there's only an 8-foot pad for the semis to drive on in stage 1, and then side dump over the road, over the embankment with their riprap or dirt, and that doesn't seem like enough.
Tyler, would you want to bring up those staging plans again, maybe?
Right there in phase 1A, you got a 12-foot lane, and you're taking 4 foot up with the TBR. So you really only have 8 foot of paved roadway there for semi after semi, side dump over the embankment if we deliver in semis. If we deliver in tandems, I don't know how they do it.
Any thoughts from the team on that comment?
Which would really be a lot.
Maybe a question for you. How much room do you think you'd need for a side dump? What would be ideal?
Oh, 10 to 11 if we don't break off. So can we narrow up that driving lane from 12 to 10 or 10 and a half, or move it over a little bit closer to the guardrail?
Yeah, do you know what we have for clear distance rail to rail through there? Tyler, that's something we could look at.
Yep, we can look into that, but it should be about 14 feet through there right now.
Yep, okay.
Maybe a little more considering this 3-foot existing shoulder. It's a little past the face.
Yeah, 14 for half.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's something we can look at.
That's a great
And
comment.
you got the same issue when you go to pave. You really don't give a lot of room for the pad line for the paver. And I assume every load's going to have to be backed in unless you're going to let them dump over the TBR and hold up more traffic.
We go to the next staging scroll or cross section, so you can see that.
Go to phase 2. Yeah, right there.
It does show I think a 3-foot paving pad. But you're right, the only way to get in there is to back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or only pave 12 foot.
Well, even if you only pave 12 foot, there's still no room for.
Pretty narrow whole road and you can't get around your paver.
Yeah. Right. The ready mix trucks still won't get around the paver.
Yep, pretty tight area.
Jordan, looks like you have maybe a comment or a question.
Yeah, just curious which stage the waste dirt comes out.
Yeah, and where is the waste dirt?
Most of that is gonna be digging out for this new embankment and digging off the existing.
So you mean it's going to be underwater? It's going to be pure slop?
Yeah, I think you're going to, scale that outside rip wrap, which is some smaller material, but then to get that toe for the revetment, yeah, that will be river bottom material. Slop.
So then you have the same problem getting the semis or the tandems back into the hole that's digging this out, and they're going to be mucking up the whole road because it won't be watertight.
Yeah, those are great comments.
Can that existing riprap stay on site and just become part of the toe? You move down, even if you have to adjust your settlement time frame a little bit?
It's pretty small material, and I think it's probably got a lot of river, say, sediment mixed in with it. I know they've had some failures at times, but maybe even last year there was a failure at some of that embankment. So I think that we've been told that material should be removed. I think it makes sense. You don't want to kind of a slip or a failure plane in there, but I'll leave it up to the materials and construction folks for their response on that.
Yes, we did have a little failure, a couple 100 feet on the south side, close to the bridge over the overflow.
When you say failure, was it a slough?
I believe it was scour related though.
What, like scour water? Really?
Yeah, yep.
So it's not
More of a scour failure.
it's not a
Yeah.
failure per se. It probably just
Slide failure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I take it that it's politically impossible to close the road so the contractor can do their thing.
That's a good question. Never say never. It's just a long detour in this case. And then obviously this, access presents challenges. And that's why part of the reason we wanted to bring it to this constructability review.
Sure.
the time probably. At least half the time. At least. Yeah, I sort of have like 20 stages.
So, this first question here was, what concerns do you have about contractor access? And I know I'm not sharing my screen right now because Tyler has the staging plans up, which is completely fine, Tyler, because I think this is what we're going to talk off of a lot today. But the second question is, what considerations or concerns do you have about the proposed staging sequence? So I think, the first two questions kind of go hand in hand. So I guess we'll open it up to the group for question number 2 as well. And I'll repeat it so everybody is aware. But what considerations or concerns do you have about the proposed staging sequence that we've shared? In addition to the comments and concerns we've already heard.
I guess you're really slicing the project up into about eight stages really that when you divide up those working days, you don't have a lot for each of those operations to occur. Seems like time-wise, the year one working days should probably be a full season. Would you're inconveniencing the public anyway. A full season, I wouldn't think would hurt that much more.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good comment. Thanks, Jordan.
I guess staging related as well. This anticipated settlement timeframe of 2 months, it appears that some of this work has already been completed on the north end and the south end. Is there any actual settlement data from those two sections that might show different than 2 months?
Mark or Tyler, do you guys know if we have settlement data on the north end, the causeway that was constructed as part of the bridge?
I have not seen any. I think they were, we can investigate that with Illinois DOT. I think there was maybe 2 different construction methodologies used. The new Mississippi River Bridge was built offline. So there was no closure, at least when they're building the embankment and the approach and putting in the revetment. And I think they towed in that revetment there at the river bridge. I think at the overflow bridge, they just placed the material. I don't know. I don't think they built a tow. At least it wasn't in the plans. So that, I think that was just kind of direct dump into the river. So two different methodologies there. But we can try to find out with the Illinois DOT, and Wang was the sub-consultant on that. We can try to find out if they had the same kind of settlement issues up there. But like I said, they probably had more time building that approach because the bridge would have been the item with the longest construction, so they could have built that embankment and let it settle for a while before they ever put any pavement on it. So yeah. But we can ask him anyway. We can ask Wang about what they had settlement wise, but I think it's just because they didn't have to put traffic on it for, a year and a half or 2 years or longer. So a little bit different, but we can try to track down whatever they might have had. But, both were done under closures too.
Hey, Mark Sloppy here, Iowa DOT. Regarding the schedule and placement of fill, which looking at the phase 1 cross section here for the schedule, the project staging. So one condition in the 404 permit states that we cannot we can't place fill, which would be basically that toe for the embankment, the strengthening of the embankment. Yeah, right there. We couldn't do that until we have credits purchased. So there's no banks right now with credits, and they are getting a release. The way the code does it is every quarter, any available bank will get a release of 10 to 25% of the bank's capacity. So we anticipate having some credits available like right after the first of the year, my last discussion with the Corps, or near December. If that does not happen, do we have an approximate idea of after December of 2025, when that toe might get started, when we might start placing fill, 2, 3, 4 months into the year, or just something that I can get back to the core with to give them an idea of, like, you know, the urgency of getting this bank to get a release.
Are you asking industry or are you asking DOT?
Well, yeah, I'll tackle it first, and then if somebody else wants to chime in, I would say feasibly like March at the earliest. And just, that's kind of my generic answer.
Okay.
Knowing what I know about the project.
Yeah. Yeah.
If weather's great, that would be the.
Exactly. Could be underwater, who knows? But
Yeah.
I understand. I just wanted a ballpark figure or idea, so appreciate that.
Are there any other, I guess, comments or concerns, questions that industry has about contractor access or the proposed staging sequence that we've shared so far? If not, we can move on to the next question, but I certainly want to allow enough time for discussion if there's more to be had. Okay. Well, the third question is, what concerns do you have about the proposed construction schedule? We've already heard one comment that 120 working day estimate might be too short of a time frame, and recommending maybe a full construction season for the grading portion. What other comments, concerns do you have about our proposed construction schedule? Grading year 1, winter shutdown, paving year 2. Any thoughts on that?
Can you have a rolling 2,500 feet of working zone? Can you keep advancing that TBR? Or are you supposed to do half of one half and then advance it to another section?
Sure.
I think we'd allow multiple setups. Was that correct, Garrett?
So that was something we talked about, is we could allow more than one 2,500 foot work zone at a time. Yep. But once we move those temporary signals, we would envision both lanes would have to be available for 2 directions of travel. So each lane would be open for vehicles once that setup gets moved.
So like similar to the Wapsie, Jordan. We have 2 setups there.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, it's like 5,000 feet in between, I think.
So we've heard some concerns about maybe the grading, 120 working days being a little tight. What are thoughts about 60 days for paving? Any thoughts on that?
Well, if you allow a rolling 2,500, it would be the best. Because you're gonna pave that in a day or two, and then what are you gonna do with the whole crew?
This is Dean Herbst with Cedar Valley. I guess I know it's been mentioned, but I don't know if I quite followed the response. But you know, with the bridge work that's been done, it sounds like it's been closed before. And I don't know if there's some concern about having some closures, but is there an opportunity to have it closed down some? Because like for the paving, that could really help that process at least. I don't want to speak for the grading part, but is that an option that's still under consideration, or has there been commitments made that wouldn't be done?
Yeah, so this is Jesse. With the overflow bridge construction that was closed, I believe it was an unexpected closure, if I remember right. I don't know about the Illinois construction. But
It was off alignment, so.
oh, yeah, it was off alignment except for the tie-ins, I suppose. Yeah, so back to your original question, can we close it? That is something we could take another look at. So I can't make any promises, but I understand the concern with access and staging and the days and everything for paving. So we'll take a look at it again.
Hey, Jesse, this is Mitch.
Yes, yep.
Having lived through that closure and the ferry and all that stuff we did, it's, you know, that this is their season for tourists. But I know they had, like, during the middle of the week, it's like a Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, to me, that'd be something worth looking at. You would, you know, you probably wouldn't want to do a Friday or Saturday, but I don't know how long it would take to pave. This thing's 1.8 miles, so that's roughly a little less than half a mile. How long you could do a section if you got away with closing it.
That takes care of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's that?
Yeah, that's a good comment. We can take a look at the days too, because you're right, with the river town, especially this time of year, weekends are a big deal.
I mean, and this is probably really stretching it, but maybe like Okoboji, you just couldn't do it during the summer.
Mitch, how would you address cure and pavement edge drop off to have it closed, you know, for 2 or 3 days at a time? What would that look like?
Well, if it's closed, I guess I'm not following. If it's closed.
Well, you're saying closed for only midweek, right? And then
Yeah.
open over the weekend?
Monday through Thursday.
So we'd have to address pavement edge drop off and cure in that time frame. So trying to figure out, what does that look like? How do we do that?
Yeah, so you got 30 hours if it's in the winter time for maturity. So
I think we could have pavement strength, but as far as getting everything else all buttoned up to have it, the drop offs addressed or pavement markings and that stuff. I don't know if 2 or 3 days is enough.
So for the contractors, you've got a 12-foot lane and an 8-foot shoulder. Is that a one pour?
Yes.
Yes.
So if that's the case, you took care of the edge drop off right there, didn't you?
Spec doesn't allow a shoulder edge either.
They must have changed that. I'm
I
old
know,
school
I've
here.
read it. I've read it
Bear with
recently.
me, Danielle. It's old school here.
I get it, Mitch. I get it.
I just threw it out there as one more thing to think about, because I remember how touchy this was when this happened, when we had to, close it down because of the Causeway Bridge sunk. So I still remember that very well. I'm sure Jim does too.
Oh.
But I think it's, from what we heard about the rolling,
I don't remember.
the rolling option versus maybe a closure for paving, this, something to think about.
Right. Yeah, we can take a look at that. And obviously, like you mentioned, there's always trade-offs. And then it's, if it's closed, it's more of a get in, get done quickly and get out type situation. So yeah, we'll take another look at that.
Huh? Any other comments about staging or the schedule? Well, we can move on, and we can always come back if somebody thinks of something as we continue talking here. So the next question that we have is number 4, which is what sources of suitable material are available near the project? So we're talking, Class B revetment, erosion stone. We have some pretty large quantities that we need for this project. So what sources of suitable material are available near the project site? And then the next question to that is what challenges might come with using these sources?
We have quarries on Iowa and the Illinois side, but the amount of stone that would take, to produce 650-pound riprap in a, are you saying you want that delivered within 120 days? That'd be pretty tough. So are you saying you want all that done the first year with the grading?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is what we're proposing.
Yes. Yep. That's.
Yep. And we know that's a challenge. That's why one of the big reasons we're having this meeting, to get input from you all on items such as this. So.
Yeah, to produce and deliver, 10, 12,000 ton of riprap a week, you're pretty good for a while, but to keep that up for 330,000 ton would be, a big challenge in 120 days. days.
Huh? And so got about 3 questions that are rolling around here that are on our question slide. But the follow-up question to that is, how will material be delivered to the site? Again, it all ties into material availability, challenges with using some of these quarries, and how that material is going to be delivered to the site. And anybody have any thoughts or feedback on maybe, how we anticipate getting this amount of riprap delivered?
We did that last little slide protection with side dumps, and it went pretty smooth. Trucks, we dumped right over the regular last time, and it was just 2,000 or 3,000 ton, but it went pretty smooth with the semi side dumps.
Okay.
Yeah, it's over 3,000 tons a day, every day, for 120 working days to make that happen.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, but you got to discount off the first days while you're digging out the slop, and before you can start hauling the riprap. So you don't get the whole 120, and then at the end, you got to have days to put in your erosion stone and your modified. So that riprap's got to come in probably less than 80 days. with the schedule you have now?
What are the vehicles per day on this causeway? Normally,
Mark and Tyler, do you guys have that info handy? I don't have the plan set pulled up, but
Yeah, I think it's 2,500
yeah,
existing, proposed. I think it's all about the same. There it is. Yeah, 2670.
yeah. The other thing you have to think about too is those trucks are gonna have to turn around at some point, depending on origin, destination, where they're coming from, where they're going. So something to keep in mind there as well. Okay. Any other thoughts about material delivery, challenges with bringing that material to the site, production rates? Obviously, these are all good comments we've already received. Is there anything else that we're maybe missing, things that we could try to do to the plans to make it a little bit easier to construct, more cost effective?
Have you thought about taking all the widening to one side?
Not sure if that was one of the original concepts or not. The difficulty that we have with this project is it's pretty environmentally sensitive area. And we're working with the Army Corps, we're working with the DNR and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So we're um, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here for Parsons or district, but one of the main reasons I think we're trying to be symmetrical on the existing alignment is just to try to minimize our disturbance to some of those environmentally sensitive areas. So, with us widening out a little bit on each side, we're not getting into some of those, we're not getting too far out from the existing causeway. So, I think that's kind of how we landed on the concept that you currently see on the screen.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, Garrett, too. And I think there is also, well, you still haven't, you're widening on one side, which maybe makes it easier to construct, but then you haven't addressed the riprap material on the other side. So you still have that edge of embankment that's going to continue to erode and potentially undermine the roadway on the other side. So I think it's a little narrower, but it addresses the slope protection on both sides this way.
Mm-hmm. It's been there for 100 years though, and hasn't really moved.
Yeah, that's true. When it originally came about, there was these longitudinal cracks that are running through the bituminous pavement. Then when it was resurfaced a few years ago, then the longitudinal cracks redeveloped. So there was a lot of discussion about what was actually happening underneath, and it was, repeated flood stages pulling out the fines from the embankment. But yeah, I think that was the reason why the pavement section is what it is and beefed up. So the failures in the embankment are not reflected up through the pavement. So
Huh? Well, we can all keep kind of simmering on the material delivery, material sourcing topics. But the last question that we were hoping to gain some input on is what concerns do you have about coordinating the utility work? So we talked about the existing utility poles along, the east side of the causeway there that need to be removed so that we can widen out. And we've got, we're proposing kind of some temporary conduits along the west side, and Tyler has that pulled up there, and that on the sheet on the left side of the screen, you can see the call out there. And then we're proposing a conduit trench underneath the paved shoulder along the west side, and that's where the fiber will go permanently upon project completion. So any concerns that anybody has about coordinating the utility work? We have been in discussions with the utility providers, and they're on board with our current plan. So, but it'll take some coordination during construction, obviously, to make sure they get in there and pull that fiber when necessary. And George, remind me, I think we're dealing with, is it Windstream on this one? Who are the two utility providers? Is it Windstream and Mediacom?
Garrett, I think that's my recollection. Tyler?
Okay.
Same?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sorry, we were muted.
We were muted.
Go ahead, George.
Yeah, you're right, Garrett. Yeah, Garrett, you're right.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys, for confirming that. Okay.
Hey, Garrett.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, just thinking out loud here, looking at one of these conditions for the project. It's about the removal of the excavated material. We got to dispose of that in an upland area. And I'm just thinking, all this, I don't know how many truckloads, I suppose it's getting hauled out in trucks or whatever. All that slop's gonna be going through the town of Sebula or wherever it goes. Are we gonna have to clean the road or every night? Or just seems like a lot of seep would go through the trucks, but I don't even know, how it's planned to be done or anything like that. But I was just thinking out loud.
Yep. Yeah, well, I think you bring up a good point, Mark, and I think maybe it was alluded to with one of the earlier questions from one of the contractors. It's going to be pretty soupy, the material that you're scooping out for that tow. So certainly something that we should keep in mind. Be good neighbors. Because I think it was mentioned before, those trucks are not watertight, so there will be some mud and water dripping out as they're moving along.
Instead of taking that dirt all out and that slop, I believe on the west side of the Mississippi Bridge, I don't know how much we dug out, but I was pretty sure we just filled all that in with shot rock. So we built it up with shot rock and capped it with riprap. And so there wasn't a lot of handling of dirt. So we're taking that dirt out. Would that be feasible to put shot rock down in there? Would be stable enough rather than trying to dig out dirt and putting dirt back?
So I'll open it up to district or the design team for a comment on that.
Gotta find out.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't recall if that was looked at conceptually.
Aren't we digging out? Aren't we digging out dirt and putting Class B riprap in?
Digging out.
Mark and Tyler, I think that's the plan, right?
Yep.
For that toe there.
Yes.
On
On
and
the,
then
I'm sorry. When they built the river bridge, I recall seeing photos of them pulling a trench box to create the toe, but like, once again, is on a like off alignment there too. But they were kind of digging in a toe there. But that's just what I saw from roadway, and I don't know if that was the whole length of the approach, the west approach there or not. But yeah, I recall seeing the photos of that. But I don't know that the overflow bridge had a toe at all. At least the typical sections didn't show a toe there. So like I said, maybe it's just that short distance for the approach to the bridge. They didn't try to create a toe in there, or maybe they dug it out. It just wasn't shown on the plans.
And Mark and Tyler, it's my understanding that the quantities that we have right now, we are estimating a percentage of that Class B to kind of be, for lack of a better term, lost in the muck, if you will. So we do have some buffer built in there in those quantities to account for some of the soft materials when we drop that bigger rock in there.
Yep, that was included in the quantity. Correct. I think we're hedging a little bit on some of the placement, since the water, some places it only looks like, the ground is actually exposed at the surface. The water, when it recedes, the existing ground adjacent to the embankment actually comes out of the water, and then there's other places where the water is over 10 feet deep. So you've got a lot of different variations of conditions out there as the channel kind of goes, or the backwaters kind of go where there maybe used to be some meanders and things like that. So some places deep and then some places very shallow.
Well, maybe we'll circle back to question number one. Just go through these questions one more time. I don't want to keep people on longer than we need to. If we're at the end of the discussion, we can certainly adjourn. But while we have everybody together, I'd just like to give one more chance for everybody to weigh in and provide any feedback or concerns that you all have. So again, I'll reread question number one. And I'm going to include number two with that as well. So what concerns do you have about contractor access? And then what considerations or concerns do you have about the proposed staging sequence? So that question really relates to, these staging typicals that you're seeing on the screen right now. So concerns about contractor access and considerations or concerns about the proposed staging sequence. Anything that hasn't been shared? So far, we've heard that there's some concern about, in stage one, there maybe not being enough room for a side dump to fit there. And that was a great comment. So we'll maybe look at, lane widths, see if we can narrow some things up to provide some more room for the contractor. Heard some comments about possibly a rolling 2,500 foot closure. A request to maybe just close down the causeway for a few days at a time, maybe midweek, when traffic volumes are a little bit lower. I think volumes pick up on the weekends due to the recreational, RVs, boats, motorcycles, and things over there near the Mississippi on the weekends. Anything else that, maybe help make this a little bit more constructible?
You think TBRs are required, or would candlesticks be adequate if they were glued down? There's only 2,500 vehicles a day, and they're going to be going slow.
Yeah, so that TBR is there for the edge drop off, but I guess district staff or Parsons, any other ideas any other alternatives to TBR? I guess Brian Worrell, he's on as well. I don't know if there's anything else that we could consider there. Because yeah, there's going to be a lot of movement of the TBR needed on this project. Yep.
Yeah, like you said, it's there for the drop off. So
This is
The
Dean
only
Herbst.
drop
You see
off
the-
you're going to have is in phase 2.
This is Dean Herbst. I guess I just wanted to clarify that if you're looking at closing it for the paving, just a couple days in a week probably is not enough time. By the time you look at, I mean, everything with this stabilized subgrade and then modified and paving and getting that in, with cure time and those kinds of things, to keep it to 2,500 feet. We probably need to have a little longer window than just a few days or a week.
Yep, you're correct.
Yeah.
Appreciate the comment.
And I think that comment probably relates pretty well to question number 3 was, again, what concerns do you have about the proposed construction schedule? Just to reiterate, we're throwing out there 120 days for the grading with the winter shutdown to accommodate that settlement time, and then 60 days for the paving operation in year 2. That's kind of what we're proposing at this point. And obviously all the feedback that we're getting today, we'll take all those comments under consideration and, see what, if any, adjustments we can make to the staging plan. So, other comments, concerns about our proposed schedule that we haven't already heard?
Do you have an idea on what the damages might be? Are you looking at an incentive or no excuse bonus scenario?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, we would be looking at like a incentive, disincentive, or a bonus or something. And then we've got the lighting guidelines we go off of. So we would look at things like out of distance travel to kind of adjust the LDs and the incentive, disincentive accordingly.
Okay. Yep, great question. So we'll maybe circle back on the material availability. So the 3 questions surrounding the material: what sources of suitable material are available near the project? What challenges might come with using those sources? And then how will material be delivered to the site? Any additional discussion on that we haven't already covered? think the feedback we received so far has been very helpful. But anything else that maybe, that came up as we were talking through some of these other issues? Yes, are there any questions from the DOT team for the contractors that we haven't asked already? Anything that we'd like to know, or maybe some comments that were made that we'd like to unpack a little bit more? Any additional discussion that DOT would like to have?
Yeah, nothing from me. This is Jesse. Appreciate the conversation. Appreciate the good attendance. This is a challenging project and a tough spot, so we, appreciate the feedback. Not going to be any perfect answers, but appreciate everybody joining in.
Yep.
So this is led in December. This is Mitch.
Correct, Mitch. Yep, December 25.
So your plan turn-in's not that far away then, is it?
It is not. First week. Yep, first week of October is when we're going to have final plans turned in. Yep.
So any changes after that would have to be addendum or something, which could really get messy on a project like this.
Yep. So our plan is we have a debrief set up with just the internal design team and others at the DOT after this meeting. We're going to talk through, the feedback we received and, see maybe what changes we can make to the plans to accommodate some of these concerns, because it's been great discussion. And we'll try to get, any of those changes incorporated into the final plans, Mitch, before they hit the street. So
yeah.
So we're hoping to make all those changes. Yep. So it's not an addendum issue. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be tough. I know you got a short window here, but thanks for taking the time to do this, though. This has been good.
Yep. Well, we really appreciate it, and I guess that brings us to the end of the presentation and the questions that we wanted to ask. And so I know everybody's busy. I'm certainly not going to keep everybody on here if there's no additional discussion. So I guess I'm going to open it up one final time for any questions or comments, concerns that you have that you'd like to share while everybody's together.
It's Jordan, PCI. I think you just need to really consider that Class 10 waste if it's really necessary to haul it out of there, or maybe have an extended settlement period through the winter. You'll have plenty of time to the winter to let that settle out if you just go straight into placing that Class B. It'll really help with logistics of the project and give you a remote chance of meeting that aggressive schedule.
Okay. Thanks for that, Jordan. Something we'll definitely consider. All right, going once. Okay. Jesse, any final comments before we adjourn?
No, just thank you, Mark and Tyler and Garrett, for the presentation and the hard work to get to this point. So we'll take a quick look at this tomorrow, Mitch and others, and try to incorporate as much of the feedback as we can. So appreciate it.
Yeah, in the meantime, tell Danielle I'll read the spec book a little closer.
Yeah.
Supposed to read
Thanks,
that?
Mitch.
Yeah.
I was surprised with the edge of shoulder too.
Well, I think at one time if you had 10 feet, you were okay, but I don't know where
It doesn't say. I didn't find that anymore because I would think that width of shoulder would matter too. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, things change.
You can have exceptions.
All right. Well, thanks everyone.
All right. Thanks, Mitch.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.